Okay, welcome to Dave Norrie's YouTube channel. This is a kickoff. I've got 32 subscribers, so thank you all for subscribing. But I'm going to step it up this year. I'm going to add some more videos, some more content, some more how-tos, some more tips. I've got lots of ideas. And
Hi, Dan.
who's that? Oh, he's got to sign the. You got to sign the waiver now because you just got in. We're not going to cut you out. So.
Sorry.
So we've got Brent Moore here, and you've got your channel is.
Yes.
What's your channel?
It's just my name.
Oh.
Same as Instagram handle, like @Brant_Moore. Same.
Okay. So he's just going to give me a couple ideas and coach me through. This will be my first how-to video, and it's going to be like how to start a BMX channel is what I thought. So what would be the first step that you would think is a good starting point?
Before you ever even create a channel on YouTube, you need the ideas. You wanna take the time to think about what direction you're going to go, write it down, have ideas, and I would even say you could go as far as having 5, 10, maybe video ideas for fully fleshed out thoughts that you want to have written down and ready to go before you even create the channel, and then maybe even do a few of them so that when you create your channel and you figure it out, like the technological side of things on the internet, you already know the direction you're going to go into. So we've already talked, you have the direction.
Yeah, so
my
outline would be, like I just mentioned, how-to, so like basically working on real simple, flatland, old school tricks, so that anyone that wants to get into freestyle flatland, they're inspired because it's really, pretty basic stuff.
Yep.
And then start asking people to comment on other requests, so kind of take requests, and then pull in other people that I know. If there's tricks that I don't actually do, or I don't do very well, I can pull in other people to support that and share their tips and technique. And so that's like the core of it. And then I think, kind of coming off of some of your ideas, also doing how-tos, just informational stuff,
right,
about the bike setup, about, you said you did a video years ago with the iPhone 6. This is a 7, so I'm one phase ahead of you. But basically doing just how to straighten a rear wheel, which is obviously something that a younger, newer rider is going to maybe not have that kind of knowledge, and we've all learned that over the years. So, okay, good. So the number one is get your ideas down, be very clear on the type of videos that you're going to do. So for me, I'm going to do mostly on-site, mostly riding, and figuring out how to do some live streaming so that I can get other people on is another little.
Yep, I think there's a lot of like getting so excited about the fact that you're doing this YouTube channel thing that happens, not just BMX, but in general. People get so excited about doing this thing, they're like, all right, I'm gonna do all these things, and then they film one video, and then it's over at that point, because you gotta take the time to think about what you want to do with this and where you're gonna take it before you're really, especially if you're gonna start telling people you're gonna do it.
Right. And that's funny because 8 years ago I put together a how-to video. It's the Norrie handstand, and I haven't done. There's some other videos on the channel, but there's no real direction. There's just other random stuff that I put on there.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it doesn't have a clear like mission, so to speak, that I'm trying to convey.
Right. If you're gonna bake a cake, you're not gonna start with like no direction. You need your ingredients, which is what
kind
we're
of cake
saying.
are we making?
Exactly. You need the ingredients to make the cake, and what we're talking about are the ingredients, right? So that's step one.
Yeah. So what else can you think of?
First, well, I would say at that point, you've maybe filmed a couple videos. I think it's better to have filmed a couple videos before you even create the thing, so that once you get to that point, you can create any kind of channel artwork that you want to, and you kind of know, you have more of an idea of what that even might look like because you've already started with your videos at that point.
Yeah.
And from a uploading standpoint, then you already have a couple things
in the bank
and the ideas to keep it going from there. So you could create your channel. But what I was telling Dave earlier too is that you also don't want to let those kind of barriers hold you back in a certain ways. Like once you have your ideas, don't let the production value of what the camera you're using or
the angles and all the editing and all that. That's really can take a lot of time and be distracting, right?
Exactly. And like maybe the fact that I don't have an intro or I don't have music or I don't have a logo or any of those more like production value type things, I think can also hold people back in just that they're not just diving into like creating the thing that they want to create because they think it's got to be way bigger and more like produced than it actually does.
Yeah.
I think actually doing it is the most important part.
And then what about just something that came up is like if you have somebody on the channel, you have to get a waiver. You have to get you have to ask them.
If you're
verbally?
making money, if you're gonna make money and put it out there that way, I mean, it's always would be a good idea to like get the confirmation of yes.
Is it okay if I use this on my YouTube channel?
No.
So is that the kind of confirmation I need to get?
I think it would be good enough.
Because you see other channels that they say that, you know, like they'll come and they'll ask the person.
Yeah, the legality of it. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. like
Right.
I don't.
What's your practice? Because
to be totally honest, I just kind of film.
Really?
Like whenever we're riding, I think it's just if somebody sees me filming and they don't want me to film or they don't want to be on there, I just assume that they're going to hopefully say that, you know, because I'm just documenting sessions. So what I'm doing is a little bit different than like going and filming a commercial with some random person and that ends up on TV. Like I'm in a public setting documenting what's happening at the same time.
Yeah, but in my case, I'm looking to offer like these ideas of really a lot of my tricks and stuff, but then tapping into others. So obviously if I have another rider wanting to share, I'm going to get their agreement.
Right, and they're not going to do it without, you know, without agreeing to it. And and if anybody ever came back and was upset with the fact they're on video and it came down to anything, I'll give you your 50-cent share from what I made on that video.
Right.
The $3 that it would make.
Right. Cool. Okay, so then what's step 2? So you got the idea, you got a few videos in the bank.
You started to create the channel. I mean, I think there was a couple sub-steps within that step 1. I think it's more or less holding yourself to doing it and keeping it going and just making it, not letting those other barriers holding you back.
Right, we talked about that too, like holding yourself accountable, setting yourself a goal. Like I want to do 1 video a week. Like that would be where I could start, I feel like, and not really worried about a lot of the editing and bells and whistles, because that will slow it down.
Right. And in an ideal world, if we're like really taking this seriously, I would have 10 videos done and edited before you even upload the first one, so that you have, I mean, if you pick 1 a week, you have 10 weeks, I mean, 2.5 months, not 2.5, 3.5 months of stuff.
Then you can work on other stuff, but you don't have to be rushed into like trying to get into, next week's coming up and it's already Sunday night and I'm going to post it on Tuesday or whatever.
That's what gets a lot of people too, is because you get excited, you know, it's exciting to do these things and you say, all right, I'm going to upload a video every week, and then you upload it on a Wednesday or Tuesday, and then Monday comes around and you're like, oh no, and then it's really, really easy to be like, well, it's okay, and then guess what, you never make another video ever again. So if you start with 10 already done, then you're way ahead of the game and good to go there.
That's really good advice. Okay.
So that would be one thing I would definitely like urge people to move towards, because then you also know that you're committed and serious. If you put in enough time to make 10 videos, and if you make 10, by the time you're 210 and you haven't uploaded any of them yet, you'll watch one, the first one, and maybe you don't like it anymore and you want to redo it and make it even better.
Right. Yeah, so you have an opportunity, as opposed to just doing it, putting it up there and going, God, I really could have done better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's that guy, Carl, which we won't even get into, but he's lost already.
He's got 300 subscribers.
He's got 300.
Yeah.
I think I got like 380.
Yeah, see, there you go.
See?
I really push my YouTube hard.
Okay, so any other sub points in the step 1?
I mean, I think in this process, learning about YouTube itself can be very helpful because YouTube has a lot of built-in tools and ways to help you in the process. Like there's an audio library of royalty-free music, and yes, if you start a brand new YouTube channel, it's not going to matter to you because you can't monetize until a certain threshold anyways. But if you start there and eventually end up to a point where you have to monetize, then you don't have to worry about your videos that you started with having, if you want to use music, having that copyrighted music on there, which can also potentially affect them in their decision to approve you for
because
that.
then you know that you're playing by the rules, basically.
Yeah, and it could happen quicker for you. And just there's other aspects of like, you know, creating a thumbnail or even, you know, how you structure the way you put together a video at that point. You know, once you've made 10 videos and you're in the groove of things and you're trying to improve them, there's definitely little things that you can do to help keep people's attention or whatever that might be. And I think once you're that dedicated, that might be a good time to start improving on those.
Got it. And the libraries, then you would download that music. So is that something you have to do? I'm going kind of into more specifics, but this is more for me, and maybe a viewer would appreciate it too. So because I'm trying to do as much like out remotely on my phone, and not sitting at a computer, because I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Right.
But with the downloading of the music, is that something you could literally do right on your phone to edit?
You know, I have never tried. I know you could access that
the
audio library on.
But then it's like where you put it and how you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can make the connection between like the download from the internet on your phone to bringing it into an editing app on your phone.
Right.
And I think if you're deep enough to where you're 10 videos in and you want to get that serious about it, you may be starting to use a computer.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, I mean, it seems like that's definitely going to be in the cards, but I want to be able to do as much remote if possible.
Absolutely. Where else do we take this?
So, I don't know, step 2. So you got 10 videos, you've got some, knowledge of the YouTube's, like, different guidelines and the resources.
Yep.
Digging into that. So what would be step 2 then?
Well, I think part of the process of learning about the YouTube side of things is also learning, like I mentioned, thumbnails, titles, and then descriptions, and setting yourself up to make it easier for someone else and someone who's watching to continue watching. So instead of just leaving your description blank or saying like how to do this, you include like, here's a link to my Instagram, here's a link to how you subscribe, or if there's anything else you want to include in there, or thinking about titles in what might actually draw someone to the video that you're making. Say you're making a video about how to do a flatland trick. You're not just gonna, like leave it titled whatever the phone title is when it saves the video. You got to put the thought into like, okay, so if someone's actually trying to figure out how to do this, what do I need to say to connect the person who's searching to my video?
Right. And is there, and like with Instagram and hashtags and all that, is that another thing that you have to do? Or is it just descriptions, like the way that you write in?
There's tags on YouTube.
Right.
People say that they don't matter. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. People say that tags don't matter on YouTube, and YouTube even like hides them. You have to click a couple times to get to them to even put them on a video. But if we're talking about this informational type stuff that people are searching for, tags 1000% help with that. And all of these YouTube like guru people who are helping with those, they say that, but in reality, when you're talking about a search-based video like that, it helps. And it's good to learn about title structure, and all of these things help bring people back. And I know that this part of things is overwhelming for the person who's like, oh man, I'm just starting a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But that's after you've already started it. You're 10, 20 videos deep and you're like, I'm in the groove and I'm
And now you want to really make sure
Yeah.
that people can find you, and again, just doing your work to study like what works. I mean, I know on Instagram you look at other people that are tagging and what tags that they're using. Is that similar to on a YouTube channel? So
you can. There's tools that you can use. Like there's a tool called TubeBuddy that allows you to see the tags that other people have used on a video.
What is it called? TubeBuddy?
TubeBuddy.
Oh, like in YouTube. Okay.
Yeah,
TubeBuddy.
and then there's another one called vidIQ, which is pretty similar.
So just in this kind of example, then I would go back and put that in the description so that if somebody wanted to know that I could put that, right, like what we just talked about.
It would be helpful to do that,
so it's easy for them to like go back and go, oh yeah, that's what they were talking about.
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and I think just digging deeper and deeper into all those aspects once you get to this point is how you start to really improve, and just not being afraid to really get into it and dig deep and to take a whole nother turn to it, because I guess I should have made step one the step of like, if you're serious about doing this, think about the reasons that you're doing it. Because if you're just doing it for fun and you're uploading a video here and there and you don't care what happens, then like this advice will help you, but at the same time, like it's just for fun at that point. Like if you're not really steering towards taking it somewhere, then it's a little different than like, all right, I'm serious about this. I would love to take it somewhere. But if you're also only doing it for that, like the enjoyment that you get out of it is so much more important than anything else, because you will never make it to 10 videos
if you're just doing it for reasons that you're just trying to either monetize it,
right? Like I'm gonna be a YouTube millionaire one day, and maybe you will, and maybe that's your goal, and maybe that's what drives you. But most people are not gonna make it to 10 videos because they haven't, if they follow my advice, they haven't uploaded anything yet, so they don't get any kind of response by that point in time.
No feedback, no kudos,
there's
praises,
nothing at that point, and that's kind of the reason I say that, is that like you find out whether or not you really enjoy doing this and you're dedicated to it.
I mean, and for me, it's like how I would answer that question if someone were to ask me. It's like I get to go to events. Here I'm at Corn Market. I get to go to events all over the world, really. I mean, I've been traveling quite a bit these last few years, and that travel might start to diminish and eventually go away. I might not travel as much. So I think if I start this channel now and I can start to provide just some of the things that I've enjoyed. And like you said, I appreciate that, because I do want, it would be a lot of me just doing solo stuff. Out on, a spot that I ride, and we talked about that last night actually, like kind of having a set spot with little sunsets, kind of, pleasing to the eyes to watch the video, and it's just me talking, and I could get burned out really quickly, and I have to find the fun in it, because I'm definitely a show rider. Like that's what I do. I need a crowd, and the crowd is not there in front of me. It's out in the internet world. So I appreciate that, and I feel like there's a value that I would hope to be able to share it to others. Like obviously my tricks in the old school genre, but then also just like the performance side, and like how I put together the show yesterday. It was all about just incorporating all the riders, and like being able to have that recorded and saying, hey, here's something, here's a live event that we did, and here's what I really appreciate about it. And I can kind of like dissect it and talk about, like, this is what I suggested us doing, this is how I formatted the jam, and this is what came out of it. So that feels like there's definitely I don't know, a good reason behind it.
And I think it feels to me, through just talking to you, I mean, this and last night is really the first time we've really like talked. I think that you've had all of this up here, but like having a YouTube channel is like the outlet that you might have needed to get it all in one place and put it out there. Because we talked a lot last night about growing BMX. And at the core of what we're talking about, that is what I think you're trying to do.
So when I see a parent that had a kid in the show like yesterday, and he just put pegs on his bike, he just started doing flatland tricks, and it was great. Like, kudos to that kid just putting himself out there, right? And doing stuff, whatever he could do, and he got great response and feedback. And I said to his mom, like, okay, there's my Instagram, but my Instagram is all kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah.
You know, there's everything from doing Van rolls off of Carl's table to, you know, me riding it at various different jams, but this is just more focused on, oh, go there, start at video 1, and there's a series of 10 videos, 10 basic tricks, you know, and do that. After you do that, send me something, let me know, you know, how that went, or whatever. Like, that's the kind of engagement that I could do, and I don't have to be everywhere.
Right, you're like, hey, check this out. You just tried this today. Well, guess what? I have a whole YouTube channel, and we've got playlists on there. Like, you need to learn about bike setup or whatever. Well, guess what? You click on that one. You want to try and check out a beginner's trick? Click on that one. It's going to start where I think that a great place for you to start would be. And I know through your time in doing this, you've had all of these questions and answered them a million times. So now you'll be like, guess what? I have a place I can send you, and instead of sending you, because I know you're the kind of guy who would type out the whole thing to a person and help them out. You can do that with like
a quick little link that just sends like go to this link, and here's the right bike to buy if you want to get your kid, you know, a proper flatland bike.
Right. You have your heartfelt message that I know you'll send, but then you'll also be able to like shorten it with the link part of it, and be like, here's all that you need to know. It's all right here. And like, that is really at the core of like what I do.
Yeah, and it's being more efficient. Because you're right. I mean, I'll have, most of the time it's about what bike to get. And and they'll send me like this posting. And I tell them, well, just send me if you see something on Craigslist or send me. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, and I have to go through this whole thing like, well, yes, it says Diamondback on it, or yes, it says it's a Mongoose, and it's just not the same, and here's why. And you can't really describe it. It's like, you know, the weight is part of it. And
I've literally made that exact video several different times, like how to tell the difference between a real bike and a Walmart bike.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that, because that can be a good little training for me.
Yeah, and then like why you don't want to buy like why real bikes are better, and like guides for parents shopping for holidays. Like, this is what you want to look out for, or like 5 different parts that you should look at upgrading on your bike first, so that you have like a safe bike that's more like better tool to help you learn how to ride. Like, and basically that stemmed from literally like every single day you have comments of like, is this a good bike? Is this a good bike? How do I know what this is? And I'm like, all you got to do is watch that video where I say exactly what I would type out to you. And then if you have a question about a specific bike,
then let me know.
Then I'll do that. And the amount of times, like, and this is what's so valuable about what like I'm doing with that, and what you will do if you continue with it, is just when you think about how many people, how much money you will save these people from, because in BMX, if you don't buy the right thing, you're buying something twice.
At least. I mean, at least, because if the kid is really into it, and they spend $100 on a department store bike, and they trash it. I mean, I did it when I was a kid. I mean, I trashed good stuff, you know, just jumping and whatnot, and they're gonna have to buy another one, and then they're, you know, and then finally, maybe the 3rd time, they're like, okay, let's go to the bike shop. Let's see what else we can have out here. My son keeps breaking these bikes or getting hurt or what have you.
And when you like could have just started with the good one, and if you explain this in an articulate, well-spoken way, they'll be able to understand it, like, oh, I get it. This is why Walmart bikes aren't safe for someone who's serious about trying to ride BMX. And then they will be more willing to spend the money to get a better bike. And then on top of the savings of not having to buy things multiple times, you get, how much have you saved people in medical bills? Like, I would love to know how much money I've saved people in medical bills just from them watching a video and be like, oh, I should not buy this bike because it will break and I'll break my face.
Yeah, and there's another aspect that I go into specifically with Flatland, is that you give your child the right tool to really explore this. And yes, it's going to be an investment. and you have to invest into things, and that's why I have bikes for them to try. Like my regular classes, I have them all set up. Awesome. I have all different sizes, and I literally can have them on a bike that has, free coaster, 4 pegs, and front and rear brakes, so they have everything.
Yeah.
And they can then explore. So not only the safety, but also just the right tool. Yep. Because I get sometimes the kid will roll and they're like, no, I want to use my bike, and it's like really the geometry's off and
safe or not right.
And it's like, okay, well, let me try to do a tail whip on your bike, and I'll see how much harder that's going to be, and then try it on this bike and see the difference. So geometry, just the components, all of those things are key. So I think that could be a whole nother just individual video clip on that specifically.
Exactly, and it becomes a really great resource to help people on their journey with that. And I love that you're going to do the Flatland side of things, so that if I get questions, because I don't know anything, and I've had those questions.
Yeah, sure.
And I have to tell people, I have to be honest, like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about Flatland, so I don't know how to help you. Maybe there's somewhere out there that's a resource. I'll be able to point people to you, and they'll be able to get.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, so what other things like? So obviously the ideas, do your research. Have the long-term vision. It's kind of like in for the long game. It feels like is essential.
Know that you really enjoy it.
Know that you really enjoy it, right? That you're enjoying it, because you are gonna put time in. It's gonna be some time that you're gonna have to dedicate. What else would you say?
I think at that point, I mean, you're really honing in and figuring out what makes sense for you at that point.
And use your story as an example. So like, let's say you were in it and you've got, good 100, 50 to 100 videos in, and then you're going to events, and then are you just promoting yourself and your channel? How are you building that audience? Is it grassroots?
I actually don't. I mean, if someone asks me a question in person, and I can answer it through like, I have a video on that.
Yeah, right.
I will, but I don't really.
So it's happened all just through
making videos. Like and actually this is a great tip for this, is that everything I try to do as far as informational stuff goes, I try to make the absolute best possible thing that exists. Mm-hmm. So that when someone is finished with that video, they understand, and they don't have to they aren't left with more questions, or they don't have to keep going,
keep searching. Like, that was great, but what about didn't answer something?
Yeah.
So you try to foresee what potential questions can come up, and is that just something that that you just know, or is it because you've heard people talk about it? I mean, obviously, the back wheel straightening, that's a common thing that everyone's struggled through.
Yeah.
So you know that.
I think it may be me in my life through what I've done that has guided me towards that. They might be more unique than other people, and just the fact that before I made my YouTube channel, I had a job at a factory making training videos on very, very, very specific processes. We're talking the dies that stamp your car door that are tens of thousands of pounds, that are very, it's a very specific process, a very dangerous process. I'm making the videos on how you put these into the machine, the press that lifts them, and then I'm working with the guy who's telling how to do that. And so through doing that, I just developed a very analytical mindset on looking at things.
Right.
So basically what it was a natural transition between doing that and making sure that we hit every single step that we needed to hit.
Right.
And then just look at centering your wheel. That's a bad example because that was one of the first ones I did.
Right, no, I keep using that one because there was a funny story behind it. But okay, yeah. So another one maybe that you really dove into.
Something about putting brakes on the bike. Mm-hmm. Just thinking about that in a very analytical mindset, and from the perspective that someone who may have never touched a brake in their life might watch this. So you're thinking about it from the very, very most basic mindset you can, all the way to the end of finishing through this in every single possible little step. And what that does naturally is it makes it so it's easy to like get frustrated with myself because I've got to go back and make sure I'm hitting on this stuff and doing it right and saying it right. That's the most frustrating part for me, because I want it to be so perfect that I will repeat the same thing 50 times. No joke. I will say the exact same thing 50 times until I get it in one smooth, articulate flow that is exactly the right wording and whatever it might be.
I love the break analogy, because I could just see, for me, like over the years, that's changed and evolved. Like how to run I was just thinking about how to run your front brake cables.
Yeah, that's changed.
I see how people, we used to have this big loop and have a zip tie, and now it's like I do this totally different route, and I'll see someone, the front brake won't work so well, and they got this big loop on. I'm like, I used to run my cable that way, and I get it. You want to have a big curve, but you also can go really short and sweet, just right around the fork, and like those.
And
kinds
I have
of
a
things.
video on that.
And I have a video on it, exactly, and you can go specifically just to that.
Yep.
So even breaking down brake and just like how to run your front brake cable.
Yeah.
And here's different fork options, and looking at all that, because some forks are set up a little differently. Some have a guide. Usually I don't even use the guides anymore because they're in the wrong place. Yeah. And I just would put a zip tie if needed. So that's great. Okay, that's super helpful.
And I even took that mindset to dropping in. Doing an air out. I took that exact same mindset. So what I would do in my videos, I would be like, first thing we're gonna do is define what it even is. What does it mean? So I put a definition on the screen, same way a dictionary is laid out. And I, then we break it down in the most basic steps possible of like airing out, for example, all the way up to just being able to do it, and then where you take it from there. Yeah. Where you take it afterwards. So that's what helped me, I think. And so, yeah, maybe you're starting a channel and you're not doing informational stuff about tricks and whatever, but you can take the same approach to whatever you're doing, to where even if it's not informational, you just try to make the best possible thing that is out there.
Well, it's so common now to, if you run into a problem that you're working on and you need a solution, you just go to YouTube, search it on YouTube. And generally, I'll even find there'll be a longer video, and YouTube will even give me like that specific question that I'm trying to ask. I can think about like you're working on a car, and I'm trying to figure out how to take this door panel off on a Ford, old Ford van or something. Yeah. And there's a certain type of tool that you use to take the door handle off, and it'll go it'll slice it right to that section of the 20-minute long video to that 2 minutes, which I appreciate that, because sometimes people do just want to be in and out. So in that, what do you think about lengths of your videos? As we're
33 minutes.
Yeah, 33 minutes.
I take the mindset that it needs to be what it needs to be. Yeah. If it's 10 minutes, but it's explained in the best possible way with no fluff and no extra crap, then it needs to be 10 minutes. Yeah. If it's 2 minutes and it's explained in the exact same level of quality, well then it's 2 minutes. Right. Like I don't believe in putting a cap on something just for the sake of it having a cap, because if you're giving good information and people walk away with what they need to, it doesn't matter. Right. And this is purely talking about informational stuff at this point. So we could take it a whole nother route, and I just got a content alert in the indoor park. But
so you had to get out.
Not right this second.
Okay, no, but I don't want to pull you away from.
It's okay.
I'll give it.
It's funny, I know.
I want to be in that place. Sometimes I get a content alert.
It's pretty funny.
Hey, there's a kid pulling this amazing flatland. Get out there. Okay, so.
But if you want to, because we've talked a lot about the informational stuff, so maybe you're not even thinking about doing something that's informational, but you can think about it similarly. Actually, no. Take that back. You're not thinking about it similarly. You're thinking about it from a story perspective. So what we've said essentially is a story. What we're talking about is the definition through what you need to know to do it, and then the steps to execute it. That is the story of the trip. Well, if you're talking about something that isn't informational, think about it from a story perspective of a beginning, a middle, and an end.
I love that. Yeah, I totally can relate to that.
Yep, you got your introduction, what we're doing, getting people to that spot. Because when you turn on a YouTube video, they're coming into your world. So
Right, you have to bring them in and say, here's what we're here for.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and boom, go right into it.
Yep, and then so once they know where they're at, you've established that, you get into the middle, and maybe you establish like, oh, there is a goal, or there's something you're trying to achieve, or there's a problem that you're trying to solve. Problems are the best stories to keep people involved. And if you're watching this and you pay attention to your favorite YouTube videos, guaranteed there's a problem, and then guess what? The video is the journey getting to the solution. Because the hero's journey, this is movies talk. The hero's journey is what, I got chills right now. This is my schooling working.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyways.
So right, you go through the journey
The
of the
hero's
story.
journey is like, what do they want? What are they trying to achieve? How do they get there?
Yeah.
Is the story of the video that you're making. And then the payoff at the end is it happening.
Right.
And if you think about that structure, similarly to how we talked about with information, you follow that somewhat. It's hard to do, especially with BMX. But it is still a story. You're going to the skate park and having a session. There's a story there.
There's a story there,
You get to the park, this is what happens. I'm trying this trick. Here's how I get there.
Right.
Or for you, I'm trying this Flatland combo. We're here. We're at the spot. I want to do this. This is my problem. I'm struggling with this. And you can take people along with the journey with you. And that leads me to what is probably the most important point of all of it. For everything. So guess what? If you stayed this long, congrats. You get the most important tip.
Yeah, right.
That is the personal connection to the person watching your video. I didn't realize this until way into it.
Right.
Because when I started, I wanted to just make a vlog without pointing a camera at myself and without talking. So what it essentially became is like an Instagram story that was just saved to where it was just clip of the whole day, and there was no connection there. Anyone watching that is like, why do I care?
Right.
So as soon as you start to tell the story and you bring people along for the journey and you show them who you are in an authentic way, being yourself is the second most important part.
Yeah.
As soon as you get there, that's when people start to want to tune into your journey.
Subscribe.
They want to be part of your journey.
Yeah.
They want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
And so realizing that you're telling a story and you're making a personal connection with the person watching is how you get people to want to see what you have to do.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the same thing that I would experience out in a setting where I'm teaching, where I'm doing a jam, or I'm teaching, a kid a new trick.
That's exactly
it's like,
it.
I want, first, I don't want them to feel intimidated, so it's like, oh, hey, just get them talking, find out a little bit about their bike, and like, hey, have you tried this? And you want some ideas that maybe could help you, pull this off, and making it so that they feel like they're a part of it, and not excluded, and then so welcoming them, and then like, I love to give them something that they can actually achieve. So then there's a feeling of like that journey.
The payoff.
They get a little payoff. They like pull. Okay, when you pull up, go ahead and swing your leg around, and it's easier if you do it this way. And you see them right off, and then that's when it's like, okay, they've got that experience for themselves to then build on.
Yep. And before I start coughing, and this is why I said that I feel like this YouTube channel for you is like, you're already living.
Yeah, right.
And I think that this allows you to have an outlet for it, to go somewhere that can be a concentrated resource for like to do exactly what you want to do in BMX and life.
Yeah.
On an even greater scale.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so let's recap. So we kind of did the intro, what we're about. We did the meat of it. We covered all the key points. And so if we're going to recap, so the recap is, I'm going to do my best, but you have to chime in if I left some stuff out.
Well, I'll start because I did it kind of out of order for what I was saying.
Yeah, you went back and said, oh wait, really what number one is?
So the real first and most important part is to just realize that what you're doing is making a connection with an audience. Like, I'm lying. First part is
Yeah.
knowing you're doing it for the right reason.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, wait. First, it's like knowing that you're gonna do it for the right
Yeah.
reason, and know that you want to do it so that you enjoy it.
Yes.
So the right reason and enjoy while you're on your journey of
Yes.
doing it. Okay, so that's the first.
Yep, and then from there, realize that what you're doing is making a personal connection and telling a story to the people who are gonna end up watching it.
Right.
So that allows you to inform your ideas in where you want to take it, and you realize before you even film the video how you need to do it.
Right.
So that leads you to your idea phase and figuring out your ideas and starting to film those 10 videos that you're going to post first. And if you keep both of those things in mind through that, you're going to create something that tells stories, brings people along for the journey, and makes them want to be a part of it. And if you get that down, guess what? Your titles and thumbnails aren't going to even matter as much.
All that other stuff can come, but it's not essential.
Well, it's not
Not
going
the
to matter as
foundation.
much because if you're telling good stories and bringing people along for these journeys that they want to be a part of, then the titles and thumbnails are secondary, and you can just continue, like we said, to get better at the YouTube side of things.
Yeah, and then I think the final thing, which wasn't the final, was more the beginning, was then just to do it and actually don't get caught up in, like, you're enjoying it, you're having fun, you're getting ideas, and then follow through and hold yourself accountable.
Don't let the production value, like the camera you're using or the editing process, hold you back from doing that. If
Right.
you have a story to tell, don't let anything else hold you back from telling that story, because if you have a good story, nobody cares about the title, thumbnail, video quality, any of that, unless it is like completely horrible.
You can't hear or can't really make
Yeah,
out, like,
as
when you're
long
trying to
as-
get information,
as
especially.
decent, yeah.
Right. Cool. Well, awesome. I think you got to go get some content over there.
Google YouTube Masterclass in 42 minutes.
That's good.
And
We got to end it at 43 because that's the magic number. So,
All right.
okay.
I'll just add
do
real
the
quickly.
your plug too.
Well, just the fact that if anybody has like once actual like guidance and advice on this, I've wanted to get into that, and I offer, like, if you want me to help you out, it's a service I can offer.
Great. All right. So that's it. That's our first video on how to do. Well, I guess it was kind of how to do a BMX video, but it could do. I mean,
How to make a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
at
how
this
do you make a
point.
YouTube channel? So, thanks for listening. Leave your comments below. What else should I say? Because this is all.
Well,
like, what's
since
your-
we have 15 seconds
Yeah,
left,
yeah.
I'll say, I mean, I do have a YouTube channel. You can check it out if you want to. I can't wait to see where you take it. I'm dying.
Yeah, you're dying. All right. Thanks, everyone. And
I hope you enjoy.
yep, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.